one in sight, so the merchant He went into a room on the right of the hall, where fire blazed in the there he found a table set with supper. The merchant was hungry and decided that he would first take his horse to the stable. Then he would return, and if there was still no one in the room, he would have a good meal. When he returned from the stable, the room was still empty, so he sat down and enjoyed the supper. After supper, Beauty's father went sleepy and, crossing to the hall, he found a bedroom all ready for him. He went to bed and slept soundly until the next morning. When he woke up, his own clothes were nowhere to be seen, but a new embroidered suit lay on the chair. In their place, he dressed himself in the new clothes and then he set off for the stables to see to his horse. On the way to the stables, the merchant passed a beautiful rose garden. The sight of a bright rose bush reminded him of Beauty's wish, and he left the path to gather a bunch of roses. He had only picked one rose when he heard a terrible sound behind him. Turning round, he saw a big, huge beast. The beast said in a big voice, "You ungraceful man! Whose bed did you sleep in? Whose food have you eaten? And whose clothes are you wearing? Mine, mine, mine! And you repay my kindness by stealing my roses. You shall die." The big, huge beast looked so furious that the poor man was terrified. "Please do not kill me," he begged. "Your life will be spared on one condition," replied the beast. "You must come back here in a month's time, bringing with you whatever shall first meet you on your return home." Beauty's father could not do other than agree to this. As the merchant rode away from the palace, he thought about the promise he had given to the beast. Then he remembered how Beauty had stood waving to him as he left home. An awful thought struck him. What if it was Beauty who first greets me on my return? Meanwhile, Beauty waited at the window of her room, watching for her dear father to return. When she saw a figure on horseback appear in the distance, she skipped down the garden path. Yes, it was her dear father returning home. But Beauty could not think what was wrong with him. He looked so tired and sad. "Father, are you not glad to see me?" asked Beauty. "Glad? Oh, my little Beauty," cried the poor merchant. When they reached the cottage, the merchant told his daughter of his promise to the beast. But you shall not return with me, Beauty, whatever happens. Beauty, however, insisted that once a promise was made, it should be kept. Finally, her father agreed that at the end of the month he would take her to the Beast. The end of the month came all too quickly, and the merchant and his beloved daughter set off through the woods. Towards nightfall, Beauty and her father arrived at the palace in the wood. They walked in and found a dainty supper for two was laid out on the table. As they sat at the table, a terrible sound was heard at the door. It was the Beast. The Beast turned to Beauty's father and asked, "Is this the daughter for whom you gathered the white roses?" "Yes," said the merchant. "She need not to be sorry," said the Beast, "for everything in the palace is for her use. Her room is ready now. Good night." When Beauty reached her room, she found it more beautiful than any she had ever seen. Quite tired out, she was soon fast asleep. In the morning, Beauty and her father had breakfast together. Then they said goodbye. When her father was ridden out of sight, Beauty went to her room. On one wall hung a mirror, and beneath it, in letters of gold, was written, "Little Beauty, dry your eyes. Needless are those tears and sights. Gazing in this looking glass, what you wish shall come to pass." These lines comfort Beauty. For she thought that if she were unhappy, she could wish herself at home again. These days which followed seemed long to Beauty. Yet the Beast had left many things for her amazement. Sometimes she read, and sometimes she painted. Some days she played outside in the gardens, and on other days she gathered the beautiful flowers. Each evening at supper time, the same sound was heard at the door, and a big voice asked, "May I come in?" And each evening Beauty, trembling, answered, "Yes, Beast." Then they talked together. Although the Beast's body and voice terrified Beauty, his words were so kind that she soon grew less afraid of him. Okay, so if you want to hear the rest of them, you can like and subscribe. If you don't, it's okay, because there's still quite lot pages, which I don't know if you like it, but if you do, it's okay. If you don't, it's okay. You can just comment, what can I do? But if you do, nice, I can keep going. Am I very ugly, Beauty? The Beast asked one evening. Yes, Beast. I'm very stupid. No, not stupid, Beast. Could you love me, Beauty? Yes, I do love you, Beast. for you are so kind. Then will you marry me, Beauty? Oh, no, no, Beast. The Beast seemed so unhappy that Beauty felt very miserable. But I could not marry a beast, she said to herself. The next morning, Beauty looked into her mirror. I wish I could know how my dear father is, she said. Then, as she gazed into the looking glass, she saw a sad picture. Her father lay ill in the bed and no one was looking after him. Beauty cried all day to think of his pain and his loneliness. When the Beast paid his unusual visit in the evening, he saw how sad Beauty looked. What is the matter, Beauty? He asked. She then told him why she was so unhappy, and she begged him to let her go home. It will break my heart if you go, Beauty, said Beast. Yet I cannot bear to see you weep. Went to the Beast. You shall go home tomorrow. Thank you, Beast, said Beauty. But I will not break your heart. I shall come back within a week. The Beast looked very doubtful, for he was afraid he was going to lose Beauty forever. Take this ring, he said sadly, and if you should wish to come back, lay it on your table before you go to bed at night. And now, goodbye, my Beauty. That night, Beauty looked in the mirror and wished that next morning she might wake up in her father's cottage. Beauty's wish came true, for next morning she found herself at home again. From the very moment he saw her, Beauty's father began to get better. She could hardly believe it when she found a week has passed. But although her father was much improved, Beauty did not feel that he was yet well enough to be left with her unkind sisters. I shall stay for 1 more week, said Beauty, and her father smiled happily at this news. However, only a day or two has passed when Beauty had a dream. She dreamt that the Beast was lying on the grass near the white rose bush in the palace garden. He was saying, "Oh, Beauty, Beauty, you said you would come back. I shall die without you." This dream wakened Beauty, and she could not bear to think of the poor Beast. She jumped out of bed and laid the magic ring on her table. Then she fell asleep again. When she woke in the morning, she was in her own room in the Beast palace. Beauty knew the Beast never came to see her until the evening, and yet the day seemed as it would never end. At last supper time came, but the Beast did not arrive. Poor Beauty felt miserable. At last a sudden thought struck her. What if her dream was true? What if the Beast was lying in the grass near the rose bush? Beauty ran out into the darkness and the palace garden and made her way towards the white rose bush, where, lying on the wet grass beneath the rose bush, she found the Beast. She knelt down beside on the grass and put her hand on his head, and At her touch, the Beast opened his eyes. I cannot live without you, Beauty, he whispered. So I am starving myself to death. Now that I have seen your face again, I shall die content. Oh, dear Beast, I cannot bear it if you die, said Beauty. Please live, and I will marry you. I love you, I really do. You're such a kind heart. When Beauty had spoken these words, she hid her face and hand and cried. When she looked up, the Beast was gone, and a handsome prince stood by her side. He thanked her for freeing him. What do you mean? Asked Beauty, surprised. Oh, I want my Beast, my dear Beast, and nobody else. Then the prince explained. A wicked fairy enchanted me and said I must be a beast and seem stupid and ugly. He told her only a beautiful lady who was willing to marry me could break the spell. You are the beautiful lady, Beauty, went on the prince. Then the prince kissed Beauty and led her towards the palace. Soon a good fairy appeared, bringing her Beauty's father. Beauty married the prince and, with her dear father near her, lived happily ever after. Okay, so I hope you like this video. If you like it, please like and subscribe. If you have any story you want to hear, you can comment below. I will think about it. And if you want to share this video with your parents and friends and reflect everything, you're welcome to. Bye-bye.